வெள்ளை பூக்கள் உலகம் எங்கும் மலர்கவே விடியும் பூமி அமைதிக்காக விடிகவே மண்ணில் மஞ்சள் வெளிச்சம் விழகவே மலரே சோம்பல் முறித்து விழுகவே குழந்தை விழிக்கட்டுமே தாயின் கதகதப்பில் உலகம் விடியட்டுமே பிள்ளையின் சிறுமுத சிரிப்பு வெள்ளை பூக்கள் உலகம் எங்கும் மலரவே விடியும் பூமி அமைதிக்காக விடிகவே காற்றின் பேரிசையும் மழை பாடும் பாடல்களும் ஒரு மௌனம் போல் இன்பம் தருமோ கோடி கீர்த்தனையும் கவி கோர்த்த வார்த்தைகளும் துளி கண்ணீர் போல் அர்த்தம் தருமோ வெள்ளை பூக்கள் உலகம் எங்கும் மலர்கவே விடியும் பூமி அமைதிக்காக விடிகவே
Great.
Cool.
Are we good to go then, is it?
Yeah, we're good to go, man. Let's go.
Amazing. Mr. Sanjeev in the house. I'm so excited to have you in this podcast. And the thing is, firstly, I wanted to apologize for the fact that for the delay to bring you onto this journey. It's just that
No problem.
I've been working on this journey single-handedly for the last 2 years, and I only have one pair of hands. So I have a long list of people that I've been interviewing, and 125, 126 guests so far, and it's
Wow.
phenomenal. And I still have a long list to go. So that's been the kind of collaborations or the associations that Sir has had in his journey, and
Yeah.
I want to treasure all these memories in the form of podcasts, and hence why sorry about the delay again to bring you onto this journey,
No
and
problem.
but I've been very keen, and you were definitely on my list, so I promise you that.
Great to
So
be here. Thanks, Chandra.
thank you. And just out of curiosity, have you watched any of the podcasts at all before in the past?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Sadly, no.
Have you heard about it or not?
I've heard about the group, the
Okay.
I Love ARR group, but not about the podcast, though.
Okay, right. Okay, this part I'll edit it out. I'm just joking.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Nah, I'm just joking. So,
Okay.
thing is, it's very exciting to have a Bangalorean on my podcast. You're still in Bangalore, right? You still operate from
And
there?
I was born in Kuwait and I did my schooling there. And that's when, once I turned 18, I moved to Chennai.
Wow.
And yeah, then Chennai from 98 to 2012. So that's like almost 14 years over there. Then I moved to Bombay in 2012 and then 2015 to Bangalore.
And Bangalore, why? Because of
So basically, by the end of 2014, I was kind of I was thinking to myself that I needed a break from the industry and stuff like that.
Oh, wow, is that right? Okay.
Yeah. So, it was getting, I think I did like 15 years being in the industry, doing all kinds of things. And
Yeah.
then I think, and Bombay was a little too, it was great initially, but then it eventually became a little too competitive. And people in the industry are quite cutthroat over there. And, I was like, I just like, it didn't make any sense. The whole point of me taking music as a career, I went back to the reason why I got into music. And then when you are in an industry and when you're competing with people and even your friends and all kinds of people,
Yeah.
you eventually forget the reason why you got into this in the first place. Then it becomes all about competition and money and like people talking bad about each other and all those kind of things, which I didn't want to be a part of. So I took a conscious decision to stay away for a bit, and that's why I chose a new city like Bangalore,
Right.
which is kind of disconnected from the industry also in a way, as
Okay.
compared to Chennai and Bombay. And that's when I took a different direction in my life also.
Wow. Wow. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to be talking heaps about that in depth. And
Yeah.
so, and you've just returned back from your tour with Mr. Sid. How was the tour?
Yeah. Well, that was good. I mean, I played after almost like 1.5 years,
Yeah.
because of the COVID and the pandemic and all that. So finally, great to be back on those big stages and big audiences and stuff like that.
Right.
So, and obviously to travel also outside of India,
Of course.
meet people. Obviously there are Indians there, but mostly Sri Lankan Tamils
Yeah.
in those areas, and so it's good to meet our kind of people back there, and also the kind of love they have for the music and the culture. You know, so
And
that's great to be part of
in-person
that.
concert, right? As opposed to all the Zooms and whatever in the past.
Exactly. Yeah.
When you traveled and performed for the first time after the pandemic, we're still in the pandemic, but let's say towards the end of the pandemic, right? And then were you nervous when you stepped onto the stage back again after near and a half, 2 years, or were you more like it? Were you were on a high that man, I'm back? Was it something along those lines?
I think just before you get on the stage, maybe a little bit that you get a little nervous because you feel like, okay, this is something that I haven't done before. Okay, what is this? But then I think it just takes like 2 or 3 minutes to kind of hit it back into your senses that, you've been doing this all your life. This is nothing for you. Come on, let's just, and then when the audience gives it back to you, I mean, when they shout it back and when they pour their love to you on the stage, that's when you like feed off that energy, and then you're like ruling the stage. You're just like, I become a different animal once I enter the stage. Usually I'm like a very introverted, quiet, I don't talk too much in real life, but when I go on stage, I'm a different animal.
And I can definitely tell you because 2010 Sydney Parramatta concert, I was right near the stage in the front,
Oh,
and I saw you perform there.
that
You
was a that was a very memorable concert. Yeah,
indeed, indeed, and I ha- I can't resist asking you this, Sanjeev.
yeah,
Um, Sid's concert is one of a kind. I have personally not been to one. I've only seen him perform in Sir's concerts, but
yeah.
I've seen clips of his own concert. And you guys were even supposed to travel to Melbourne in 2020, obviously, thanks to COVID.
Yes,
Is that happening
yeah.
again anytime soon?
I hope so, man. I mean, we've not gotten any fixed dates yet, but I'm sure it'll happen soon.
Yeah, dinner on me for you and Sid when you guys.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Look, it's recorded now. There's no way you can change your mind, right?
I can't say no now.
What I was going to ask you was, um, what does he do before he jumps onto the stage, man? Because he, as you said, you become a different person altogether, feeding off the energy from the audience. And this dude is, in a different world altogether with the clips that I've seen. I'm just
Yeah.
curious, does he have a whole bunch of coffee shots or something before he jumps onto the stage? What does he do? Or does he mix anything? I'm just joking.
I mean, no, no, no. I mean, he's completely sober, and I know he reads a few um, what is it called, religious verses or something. I know he spent some time reading something from a book. I am not exactly, I don't know what it is.
Right.
And then he and him and me, we both kind of take a time for to ourselves. We give at least like 15 to 20 minutes, like just with ourselves for a while, and then just before we get on the stage, we as a band come together and we say a little prayer and all that, and
Right.
get charged up and, like, just hit each other and, like, okay, you know like, yeah. It's like preparing for a wrestling match or something. and, and then that's it. I mean, and then once the music kicks in, man, I mean, he goes into one trance kind of like, he goes ape shit. So so I think we all feed off each other, and it's just amazing, the energy.
And you said obviously you feed off the energy that the audience gives you back, right? So do you actually maintain eye contact with the people in the front rows to see how they are reacting to what you're performing?
Yeah, of course. So depending on how the audience is seated, how close the audience is to the stage, you can see the difference in our performance also. Like, for example, even this time, well, our first show was in Switzerland, and the audience was right there. I mean, it was seated, but the audience was close. I mean, even to the end also, you can see everyone,
Yeah.
from the stage.
Right.
And so because of that, we could actually hear the audience in full volume. They were right there. We could see each other also. We could see people in the front row properly. Even in the back, we could actually, if you want, you can see them. And
Yeah.
because of that, even though the whole auditorium was not as big as Germany, because Germany was an indoor kind of a stadium type.
Yeah.
So
Arena.
it was like a huge stadium arena kind of thing.
Yeah.
So even though it was much smaller, Switzerland was a indoor auditorium, and the energy that we, as a band, when we performed, also was so much more because we could feel the audience so much closer.
Right.
But at the same time, in Germany, the audiences were like way back in the gallery because it's a stadium. So
Okay.
we couldn't hear, and no one, even if they were shouting, we couldn't. By the time like, hits to us, we couldn't. We didn't feel the same energy that we did in Switzerland, obviously. So obviously, our performance in Germany was a lot less subdued, lot less energetic as compared to Switzerland. So
Right.
so the audience really does make a huge difference where they sit and how close they are. Like, obviously, like, for example, some concerts of ours, we have standing audiences in pits,
Yeah.
like right next to the stage. So those things really help us because those are the crazy guys. Those
Right.
are the guys who don't sit in a seat and, like, quietly go clap. We don't want those kind of people. We want people who are, like, who are crazy and who can, and because when they are crazy, we go crazy too. So our performance definitely depends on the audience that way.
Nice, nice. And is it fair to say that when you're performing in an indoor arena, obviously the production or the sound is far better than when you're performing outdoors? Is that right?
I mean, nah, like, for example, if I just take Switzerland, Germany, yes, in terms of sound, Switzerland was not as loud as the sound in um, the stadium arena,
Okay.
right, in Germany. So, like, in the stadium arena, the sound was like, it was loud. You could hear, like, if I strike the guitar, the whole place is like, because it's outdoor. The speakers are more.
Right.
Everything is more.
Yeah.
But so sound wise, yes, you feel like a rock star, but then audience wise, you don't get the feedback that you want as much. So
Right.
that's the difference between
Right.
both.
And because you're maintaining eye contact with some of the members of the audience in the front, uh, does that might be even distracting you, right? If they are disengaged and they are busy with something else, and does that happen because you're up on the stage and performing?
Yeah, I mean, if they're busy with something else, then it could be distracting. Like, it could, like, if suddenly if you're jumping and then you're seeing people talking at each other, then it kind of distracts you. But then usually that doesn't happen,
Okay.
because thankfully all the songs that Sid, or even that way AR sir also, all his songs are popular. So every song that you play, people are singing. They know the song. It's not like they haven't heard the song or things like that. So most of the time they're engaged. So it's only like maybe like award function kind of events where people don't really care what's happening. I mean, they're also waiting for their award, so they're busy with other actors. Or when the audience is like that, maybe things are distracting. But usually we don't attend those kind of events too, so it's fine.
Right. And then obviously that means that you tactfully prepare the set list as well to ensure that
Yeah,
it creates the impact. Am I right?
yeah. And Sid's concerts also is like, it's like Sirs. I mean, it's like 3.5 hours. It goes that long. It's a long concert. So we have like 30 songs. So you need quite a bit of energy also to do 30 songs in the full power and to be energetic also at the same time. But still, I mean, we pulled it off, and from start to end, the audiences are also on their feet. So it's a good thing.
Right. And what keeps him, of course, his passion for music and obviously doing what you love keeps you going for hours, no doubt about it. But how does he energize himself in between? I mean, does he have coffee shots, or how does he replenish his energy? That's what I'm asking.
Nothing. None of us do any replenishing in the middle. So it's
Really?
just that when we're out there, we're out there. So those 3 years, 3 hours, we're like just shedding it out.
How many hours does your rehearsals go?
Rehearsal is just maybe 3 hours before the show a day. We do one rehearsal in India, and then when we travel, we do a rehearsal there also,
Right.
and then that's it. And it depends also, if there are a lot of shows together, then just one rehearsal for all the shows, things like that.
Wow. Okay.
But
Amazing.
then I think we are quite set. We've been as a band. I mean, I've been with him from the start. I think we started around 2015 or 16 is when the Sid band came together, and it's been like 7 years now. So I think we are quite tight now. So even if so many new songs come in, it's easy because we know each other and we've been playing for a while together. So
Nice. And the impros that you do on the stage, it's part of your rehearsals, or whatever happens on the stage, it happens.
yeah, that's like it just happens. I mean, nobody can predict anything. Anything can happen. So
Right.
you
And
know
is that how it is in Sir's concerts too?
Sir's concerts are a little more, I mean, at least it's choreographed to a certain this thing. You can't just like, since there are so many musicians on stage and so many singers on stage, it's not just one band, right? So many musicians, so many singers. So obviously you're choreographed, and as to when and where you can come in the front or do some crazy things. Like for example, uh, I had a few songs where I had to come front and do things. So only that's the only time I can actually come in front,
Right.
because other time I'll have to stay in the position because my lights are there. The stage is that big. Each person is given the designated those positions, so you can't really move too much until it's your time to come in front. So but
Right.
this is a different feeling. Sid is a different feeling because it's only one band, and it's only the five of us or six of us, so we can do whatever the hell we want anytime. If I feel like walking in the front and while I'm playing the solo, touch a few people also. I mean, I can do whatever I want. So so it's fun that way.
Nice. And then talking of concerts again, you did say that the Sydney Parameter concert has some great memories. Anything that comes to your mind that you would like to share? 2010.
Uh, I think it was I don't know, so many memories, so many things that we did. I mean, I even remember it was, I think, one of the, I think, did we have the foreign band? We had the foreign band, no? Didn't we
Mm.
have the? I think we did, yeah. But still, and I think I was quite nervous.
You didn't look nervous.
I didn't look nervous, but before the show, I was quite nervous because it was quite a big stage, and I think that Mustafa solo thing was the first time we did it like that, in the sense like,
Yeah.
Stephen starting the solo, then me, and then Keith, and
Yeah.
all that, and then I think that was the first time we kind of choreographed a couple of songs like that. Even Mossam and Escape to
I was
come
about
like
to say.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, man. I mean that was quite memorable also. I mean,
Mhm.
I think I just felt so good. I think it was also the atmosphere, because it was a festival.
Indeed.
People were, and it was a free festival, I think, if I
It was.
remember
It was free.
right. And so people were just pouring in, chilling up. From the afternoon, they were just coming and chilling, having their beers, and like just setting up in the place, and it was packed, and it was crazy. I think the energy of that place, and that nervousness kind of converting into confidence, and like me actually pulling off those solos and stuff like that. It felt good.
Of course.
So
Yeah, and we guys loved it. I mean, I had actually gone on a vacation to India, and then I brought my dates back to return just for this
okay,
concert. And I was there like 6 hours ahead of the concert just so that I could be right at the front. So I was one of
okay,
the dudes at the front. And yeah, it's one of my favorite concerts, man. I loved it. It does hold
yeah,
a lot of special memories for me as well. And
yeah.
um, of course, moving slightly away from the concerts aspect, you obviously worked with since 2007 and almost until
2004 actually.
2004.
2004. Yeah,
Wow, and until
end of 2004.
wow, almost over a decade,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I
Right,
think when once moved to Bombay is when slowly I kind of
right.
stopped working, because I wasn't there in Chennai anymore. So,
Yeah,
I mean, sir always prefers someone who's there, that he can call anytime in the middle of the night. So you have to be there, or you're not there. If you're not there, then the next person comes in. So, because creativity happens when it happens. So
yeah,
so
indeed.
yeah, I think 2004 to almost 2013, 14 is when I used to play. I played pretty much all of his movies
Yeah,
during that time, and the shows I think started around 2007, 2008 is when I started playing for him live.
yeah.
But before that, 2004 is when I started playing in the studio and for all the songs and
Nice.
stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and you've been part of almost every project or every soundtrack, which is my favorite. I mean, all soundtracks are favorites, no doubt about it. And it's
Yeah,
just phenomenal. I mean, I'm just curious to know before I pick. I'm obviously not going to go one by one on the of the soundtracks and asking you to share memories. I'm not going to do that. But before I hand pick maybe a couple of them, what I wanted to ask you was, of course, you spent over a decade with working with Sir, right? And then what's a creative high moment like in the studio whilst you were there, obviously locally in Chennai working with him? And then what is it like when he is on a creative high, and then at the same time, can I call it a creative low when there is a creative block there where nothing is coming or nothing is happening? Uh, what does
Mm,
he do, or what do you guys do? But anything that you want to share, I'm sure there must be moments.
yeah. I mean, see, so usually when it comes to instruments, a lot of the instrument recordings, I think, at least for me also, Sir is most of the time not there. When he's really confident with the person, that
Right.
uh, uh, he just says, yeah, so Sanjeev, you just go ahead and you do your thing, and then I'll sit on it later and all that stuff. So most of the time when I go for a recording, I usually chill with the engineers, whoever it was. It started with Sridhar sir,
Yeah.
and then after that it was Deepak PA and Chetan and all of those people.
Yeah.
Um, so usually, I mean, for me, the process has been just coming in there and, like, kind of spending the day there, kind of vibe. Usually in a recording, when I go for a session recording, it's like usually the music director is there and they tell me, okay, this is what they want. I finish in like 1 hour, 1.5 hour maximum, and that's you finish. That's the usual procedure. But when it comes to AR, I'd like to give that time. I'd like to spend some time there before I even, you know, find out what the job is.
Right.
We kind of chill, we kind of take it easy, and we listen to the song a couple of times, and then we kind of discuss, what could be the possibilities.
Yeah.
You know, but then of course there are some recordings where Sir was there, and he wanted to make sure that I had a few things coming out of me which he was expecting. One such recording, or like you said, a creative high would be, I think Rockstar was one
I'm sure.
movie where he was very particular with what I,
Mm.
he was there for a few recordings which I did, because obviously that movie had a lot of guitars, and guitars was a very important thing in that movie. And I think I remember, I mean, yes, of course, we did Nadan Parinde, which was one of the main tracks which I did. But apart from that, I also remember both of us going through Sadahak, and Orianti had already kind of recorded her solo. And then he was saying, like, this first half of Orianti solo I like, but the second half I don't like it.
Mm.
And so I want you to come in and, kind of fill the gaps there. And so that's when so the second half of the Sadhak solo is me playing.
Wow.
And I still remember him, like, trying to express or tell me how I should play the song. Like, think about it, like, Ranbir is crying, or like you have so much of emotion, just show it on the guitar. Yeah, go wow wow. He was kind of making all kinds of sounds, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to push it. Okay, thanks. Okay, let's go. You know? So so it was that kind of a vibe where, like, both of us like trying to push and like make faces and like, trying to get that emotion out. So I think that recording was particularly memorable. Because like I said, those are one of the few recordings that he was actually part of, and he was actually there. And not only him, even uh, Imtihaz and the film team, they were also there. So it was fun.
Mm.
That was a particularly fun project. But other than that, I still remember uh, recording sessions with Sridhar sir and Deepak P and guys like that. Like, Sridhar sir was a guitarist himself,
Right.
and so we connected that way so much more. I mean, we used to talk about everything about the guitar, while we were recording for his songs. So I think every session was uh, quite memorable, and I made sure it was memorable because I took the time. I know if AR sir called me for a recording, I was like, okay, I am packed today. Don't call me for anything else. I'm going to just chill in the studio and take my time and record.
Yeah.
So I think that made a huge difference also. Treating a recording like that, and it definitely shows on the work that you've done. When you take that time,
Indeed.
and yeah, I mean, in terms of creative blocks, I still remember, I think even my first recording, I think the first time I even entered the studio and met AR for the first time,
2004.
there was actually that was 2004 for the Vote for the Taj, that song,
Yeah.
when he did that anthem. And I remember, I think I was not kind of I was not getting exactly the thing that he wanted initially.
Mm.
And then I think after a few, we took a break, maybe an hour or hour and a half break, and then I again revisited recording it again, and then it all magically came together. So creative blocks do happen,
Mm.
and sometimes, even if not apart from this also, I mean, sometimes I go into the studio. Sometimes things don't work as well as we can, and then we tell ourselves, you know what, forget today. I'll just come tomorrow, and
Right.
we'll revisit it again. So creative blocks do happen,
Okay.
and that way, in terms of time, AR sir never had like, I have to finish it today, or I mean, that there were crunch days like that, but most of the time it's not there. So it's always school to kind of postpone it to the next day or a few days later.
Right.
So
Right. Great. And um, of course, you worked on so many of the projects. What would be the soundtrack or the project that's very close to your heart? Something which is something that uh, stands out for you amongst everything else. Pick only one.
I mean, that's hard to pick one, but if I were to pick one, it would probably be Delhi Six, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
I think the Delhi Six songs were, um, I mean, I think we had so much fun just
Right.
laying down, and those I think the songs also are so good. The Masakali to Rena to all those songs I think were kind of special. I mean, of course, Rockstar 2 did have those great numbers and other films also, but I think this particular album, uh, especially Rena 2 and songs like that, I think had a very you know I think I just love those songs so much, and I think what we strived for, I think it came better than what we expected. And so I think, yeah, that is definitely one of a memorable album
Right.
that I can.
My wild guess was going to be that you would pick Rockstar, but I
Yeah,
like what you did.
yeah. I mean, since I already kind of spoke a little bit
Correct.
about Rockstar and what happened, of
Yeah,
course,
indeed.
that's always definitely a special album for me. But
Yeah.
apart from that, I think Delhi Six was also equally
Nice.
special.
Indeed. And I'm not sure, of course, since you probably haven't caught up with the podcast. Rakesh Om Prakash Mehra was also there on the podcast in this journey. And then, of
Wow.
course, we had a lot of things to talk about Delhi 6, especially, and
Yeah.
songs that you just mentioned as well. So, and of course, having been associated with Sir for over a decade, your thoughts on Sir as a boss. Did you see him like a boss or did you saw him more like a collaborator? What was it like between the two of you?
Uh, yeah. I mean, definitely. A collaborator vibe was there in terms because of the freedom that he gave.
Right.
But then as a person that I looked up to, so it always was a mentor kind of vibe. I mean,
Yeah.
even though he was giving you that freedom, for me, he has such an aura and
Yeah.
um, such a burst of creativity and energy that he has that
Yeah.
you kind of you can't see him anything less than a mentor. And but I have seen him in all forms. Like, for example, to me, he was very respectful and he was like very cool with me. But I've seen him lose his cool with people in the studio, where he can actually be a boss. Like he can, especially the people who work there, who are full time people at the studio. I mean, I've seen him gone angry with them, like fired the hell out of them. So he can be a different person with them also. I mean, because I mean it's for their good eventually, but you know, but I've seen both sides, where one side where he's like super calm and super peaceful, and one side where he can just like blow his head off.
Right.
So,
Right. And any of the off the record chats with you that you can share? Anything that comes to your mind? Of course, not whilst you're recording, like when you're not recording and when you're talking about things, anything that comes to your mind?
I mean, I almost kind of share most of my releases, like in my personal releases, whether it's a film that I do or an album I release, stuff
Yeah.
like that. I share with him, and then he kind of, even though his replies are like very monosyllable or like very short,
Much.
he still takes the effort to reply. And he's also like been very supportive in terms of like even the last Malayalam film that I did, like he released it for me and all those kind of things. So he's been kind of very helpful that way. And I think one thing I remember, which I would never forget, uh, is I think it was a Rockstar concert. It was the release of Rockstar, and so we had a few. rehearsals. We were doing rehearsals before the show. The show was in Bombay,
Yeah.
and I remember for some reason, whenever we were playing Sadda Haq, the lead solo, I was screwing it up
Okay.
during the rehearsal. So how many ever times we did some screw up or the other, I was doing. I don't know why. I was just not getting it right. And on the day of the show, and he saw. I mean, Sir saw that I was kind of getting worried about that particular Sadak solo to perform live. Because that solo is not easy to play live in one shot because it's quite complicated.
Yeah.
Okay, because when you record it, you can stop and record, and you can record it in pieces and stuff like that. But then when you perform live, you'll have to perform it like in one shot, So it was still new to me, and I was not still probably I didn't practice enough or whatever. I was not confident enough. And Sir saw this, so knew that I was screwing around, and that I was not confident enough to pull it off. And just like maybe an hour before the concert, and we were all getting ready, and I was also myself nervous about the solo. I get a note on a tissue paper which Sir wrote saying that don't worry, you're gonna kill it. You just go ahead and just like don't worry about anything. Then everything will be fine. And he actually wrote a message like that on a tissue paper and sent it with someone, and
Wow.
he gave it to me. And I was like, I saw that, and I was like, you know what? I don't care. I mean, I'm just going to go there, not think about all this nervousness and not think about screwing up or anything. I'm just going to go, and it happened that way also. I mean, I killed it. I didn't make any mistake when it actually happened, and things like that. I mean, these kind of small things. There are small incidents like this which I would never forget. Because we sometimes we think that he might not see these things. The things like me being nervous or me being not confident enough to pull off something, but he actually sees those things and he notices those things, and he sometimes does these magical things to make things good again. So
So nice. So nice to hear. Yeah, superb.
yeah.
And um, you're transitioning into a singer, then a composer. How did this happen? Was this like a conscious transition, if I can call it that way, or was it always there and then you started tapping into it?
So I've always been a singer and a guitarist.
Right.
It's just that since I started playing guitars for Sir, everyone thought I was the guitarist.
Yeah.
So the singing part never really, people never saw that side of me. I mean, the people who saw that side of me was the independent crowd, or the people who followed rock music, and people who followed me as a band guy who had their bands. And so it was a whole different audience who followed me as a singer and a guitarist, not the film audience. So they didn't know that I was a singer. They kind of typecasted me, okay, he's guitarist, because obviously we
Mhm.
know him as a guitarist. But then so the singing, obviously uh, I was not pushing myself to sing in films that much,
Okay.
because I was always singing in English, and I was always singing independent stuff, my own stuff. Apart from when I was not doing AR, I was doing that. So I was not very keen also, or I was not very pushing myself like I should sing in a film or things like that. So uh, but then yeah, it just kind of happened because people, I mean, I think at the first time, and that's also a kind of a very cool memory. So we all embarked into the for the world tour.
Mm.
And so before the world tour started, we had a month and a half practice in LA.
Mm.
So the whole band, and of course most of the band was white people from there. It's just few of us, like me, Naveen, Keith,
Mm.
just few of us from here,
Mm.
and the rest of the band were people from there. So while we were practicing there, and while we were practicing, I think it was we were practicing Rang De Basanti, the title song, and I think Javed was singing. The actual singer was Dalar Mehndi who sang that song, but Javed was singing that song for the show. And I always wanted to sing in the show.
Mm.
More than the recordings and for film and all that, I wanted to sing in the show. At least one song I wanted to sing in the show. And so then I realized that he was making comments saying that maybe we should have one more singer for this song to sing with Javed, so it's more powerful, and maybe one section can be sung by him and the other section by Javed. So he just said that and he left it with that. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, maybe I should ask sir, maybe if I can sing, because I can sing that song, and I like that song, and I was thinking maybe I should go ask sir, but I was wondering how do I ask sir? I mean, to catch him itself, even though he's there, I don't want to like just discuss sir. Can I sing? I don't want to just go like that. So then I remember one day, I think who was there? I kind of got courage from someone because someone told me, you know what, you should catch him uh, after, just before, when practice is over and when he's kind of leaving, or in the morning before practice starts, before he gets down from his hotel, or during that time you should catch him. And that's what I did. I kind of came early and waited for him to come down, and then while he was coming down, I told him, sir, I have a suggestion to make. I think I can sing this song. you know and then he was like, yeah, oh yeah, you can sing. Okay, cool. Okay, let's try it out. We'll try you out. And then he actually, then the song came for the rehearsal, and I actually came in front, and I actually started singing the song. He liked it, and then he said, okay, cool.
Superb.
So that was the one song that I sang during the tour, the Rang De Basanti song. So I think that's the first time he also realized that I could sing.
Yeah.
And after that is when he gave Vinay Tandi Varvaya, I sang a song,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And then of course I started singing for Malayalam and other movies also
Mm.
at the same time. So, but yeah, so that's
That's
how I eventually started singing for film also.
nice. And
But as a composer, I think when I started my career, I mean, I came in '98 to Chennai, did my college. I finished my college by 2001, and as soon as I finished college, my first thing was, I want to be a rock star, and then to be a rock star, which meant, I have to make my own band, and I have to sing my own music, and I have to just travel the world with my band, and that was the dream.
Mm.
That was, I mean, and I was, to tell you the truth, I was kind of anti-film at that time,
Right.
meaning anything Bollywood or Hollywood or any of that, I was like, oh, that's not music, that's stupid. Because I came fresh from Kuwait, and I was like, I was listening to Led Zeppelin, and like, that kind of, I was coming from that kind of background, and so that is what I wanted to be, and that's what I saw myself as being a rock star,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And so as soon as college did, that's when I asked my parents, I don't see myself doing a desk job. I think I should try music, for give me a like 1 or 2 years to try out if I can survive in music. So the first thing that I did is form this band, and start competing in all these big competitions like the IITs and
Mm.
all over the country, and traveling, and winning the competitions and those kind of things. But and the more years I spent on it, I realized that I was not really making any money, as I was performing everywhere, but then I was not really making any money to survive. And
Mm.
that's when you kind of realize what the reality of things is. You have such big dreams, but then it just doesn't happen just because you think it's going to happen a certain way.
Right.
And so that's why around 2004 only is when I decided that uh, apart from my live performing and my independent music, I should get into producing music, and having understanding how a studio works, and
Mm.
start my own studio. And I thought that was kind of the natural evolution that happened. I mean, understanding music even more in depth by producing music. So
Right.
that's when I started my producing journey. In 2004, I started my own studio. Before then, I was kind of with people who helped me learn and understand how these things work, and but then in 2004 I kind of started my own studio and started recording, and running that as a business also at the same time. Um and yeah, that's when I started producing, and then that went along side by side with the all the other things that I you
Mm,
know did. And I think now when you look at me as a singer and a guitarist, like I started studying or learning the guitar when I was 8. And so because I started young, so many years of that experience and being with the instrument or playing and singing or whatever,
mm,
those many years gave me that. It made it easy when I was 25 or 26. I already had so many years of experience. But as a producer, I started only in 2004. And
mm.
then all these years, now I feel like I've come to a place where I can call myself a good producer, or a director or whatever. Because so I needed those many years, and I'm happy that I started it then,
Mm.
and so that today that I have come to a place where I can say, okay, I know this art, I know this how this thing works now, and now I think I can push myself into this also, apart from the guitar playing and the singing.
Very nice. Sounds very inspirational. On the same note, and very early on in the conversation when we started this podcast, you mentioned that you decided to move away from the industry, and to choose a city which was disconnected, and you chose Bangalore. What was the trigger? I mean, what made you? I mean, what were the factors that got you to think like that, or there were multiple?
So the main trigger was in 2012 when I decided to even move out of Chennai. I
Right.
mean, actually, that was in my career. Um Probably if you ask anybody, I mean, I was at my high point in 2012. In
Mm,
2012 I was in such a good place. I was with sir all like performing, I was recording with him, and my studio was also doing well. I was doing some movies also. I started doing movies back then
mm,
at that time. And then leaving all of that and getting out of Chennai, I mean, that would actually, if anyone would have, if you had asked anyone, they would have told me, that's the most stupidest thing that you can do, because you're in such a good place. Why do you want to like uproot yourself and go somewhere else now? But then the trigger was I got married in 2012, in the beginning of 2012, and then by August 2012, I got a divorce too. So
oh,
that was the trigger.
yeah.
And because of that, when something like that happened, and it was a bad divorce,
Right.
and then so and when something like that happens, you don't want to answer to everyone in Chennai, because you've been living there for the longest time. So you don't want to answer people, like people keep asking you, hey, what happened, oh, can we do this, and you just want to get out of that place, and
Right.
you don't want to deal with people. So that took the
Right.
main thing, so that I couldn't think of my career and all that at that
Mm,
time. That was least important.
of course.
So it was, I had to take care of myself,
Yeah.
and I needed a change of scene. I needed different people in my life. I needed to be away from that city. You
Yeah.
know, so that's when I moved away and I came to Bombay. But then, and Bombay also was good. Like I said, initially, I got a lot of work, and but then eventually I kind of understood how Bombay worked also. I mean, they were kind of good to new people, and I was still not new. I mean, as soon as I went to Bombay, everyone already knew who I was and they knew me,
Mm,
so it was not hard to get work that way.
yeah.
But still, Bombay is like the mecca for music. So, like, meaning like the entire country comes to Bombay to make
Mm,
their dreams come true in music and the film industry, right? So uh, there are certain ways, or there's a certain decorum that people in Bombay expect from you. Like, for example, I know when I think it was for an ad, the first time I had called Sonu Nigam to record for the ad, and the producer was there, everyone was there, and I'm my normal self. So the first thing that I see in the culture of Bombay was like when Sonu Nigam comes in, he first goes and drops in the leg of the producer. Like, sir, it drops. And everyone is like that. It's not just if Sonu Nigam. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the film industry does this. They like pull and they're like buttering them up and like kissing ass to the next level and touching feet and all kinds of, which I'm not. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm respectful to you. I mean, doesn't mean that I have to come touch your feet and I have to kiss your ass and all that. I mean, I was just not used to that, and I was just not ready to do that. And the biggest of biggest celebrities were doing that, and everybody was doing that. Even my peers were doing that. Even Sonu Nigam and those kind of people are also doing the same thing. And so, and the people who did that were the people who were favored most of the time, and that was the culture. That was part of the culture of Bombay. And like I said, it was so much more competitive, like unlike Chennai and any other place, because the whole country is there to compete. I mean, people from Assam are there, people from Delhi is there, everybody is in Bombay to compete for the same chance. And like, for example, if I quote 1 lakh for a project, there are 1,000 people waiting in line to do it for free. You know, so that's the kind of competition. And also, uh, the competition was so high that your own friends will probably put you down so that they can get the chance. So it was that kind of a culture which I really, after being 15 years in the industry, I really didn't want to be part of that. And obviously I was also not in a very great mental state at that time to take all of this. Also, I was going through a big downer,
Understand.
at that point of my life. And that's when all of this came together, and I decided, that's when it made me question about, why did I get into music? Did I get into music to compete like this and to kiss ass like this, or to, you know, be betrayed by a friend like this or not? These were the kind of thoughts. And after Bombay, I was like, I needed to get back to my roots and how I started and the reason why I got into music. And that's when I even moved from Bombay and came to a new city like Bangalore. And that's when I even started the music school. You know, uh, so apart from all the other things that I did, I mean, that was something that got me sane again. Just getting back into practicing and playing, being with my instrument, and teaching that, giving that knowledge to the younger generation. So that period, the first 2 years, like 2015 to 2017, that kind of brought me back to being sane again. And then it took me a while to reintroduce myself back into the industry. And then this time when I was introducing myself back to the industry, I made sure uh, that I was doing only what I wanted. I get to choose what I want to do. It's no more. And I also made sure that I made sure that my life was designed in such a way that I was not depending on music entirely. I was doing other businesses also, so that because if you're a full-time musician, even if it's like a stupid job and it's like you'll have to deal with the worst people, you will still take it because you have to survive. But then I made a conscious decision that I don't want to do that anymore, so I don't have to deal with the people. If I don't like someone, it's better not to just work with them. And so yeah, I mean, I'm happy I did that. So today I'm like a happy person, so I can really choose what I want to do. And I don't have to put myself through things which I don't want to be part of.
Right.
And yeah,
So
it's a good place to be.
it's very inspirational, though. I mean, not not everyone can take this step and actually do that, right? To move away,
Yeah.
especially when you're at the peak, and uh, I don't think I could have.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of respect for you, Sanjeev. I mean, sorry
Thanks, man.
you had to go through a few things, but I think yeah, it was probably meant to be, and you've
Oh
come
yeah, I
to a
mean,
good place.
I always believe that failure, prepares you for better things. You become so much more stronger. and you kind of realize that you are so much more than just money and career, and those are good to have. So it's great to have a good career, it's great to have good money, but I think there's, especially after COVID and all that, I mean, I think a lot of people understood what is really important. Those people who are really close to you, like family, or those are the things which are important more
Mm,
than anything else, and those are the things that will carry you till the end of your life. I mean,
mm,
and things like passion should be done passionately. As if you lose that passion and if you do it for money and other things, then the passion won't be there anymore. It kills whatever passion is left. So to keep the passion alive and to keep it going, I think we need to choose the important things in our lives and
right.
go for that.
It's an interesting point that you have raised because I was watching this. It wasn't really a podcast, but it was just conversation between two people who are not at all related to the music industry. This is in one of the channels. I can't even remember the name. So these two individuals were having this conversation that so can you, let's say if I'll put myself in this example. I work in IT and it pays my bills. It's my daytime job. It and the way I see it is it gives me or pays my bills and pays me to pursue some of my passions outside of my work. For example, the journey that I'm on right now, this podcast journey, and so many other things, my fitness passion and things like that. It pays me for all this, right? Even for this podcast
Yeah.
journey, they have spent a lot of money. So, but with no returns whatsoever and $0, absolutely. And then but what I'm trying to say is, in this conversation between those two individuals, what they said was very interesting and it intrigued me. They said, firstly, figure out what you're good at, and then ensure that it it pays you to pursue the passion that you want. But all of a sudden, if you decide to pursue your newfound passion, let's say I want to get into the music industry, and I give up everything and I go right from scratch and expect that to be paying me back, that's not going to happen because there are thousands and thousands of others who are in a far better place than you are where you are right now. You're at ground zero. You have just decided to pursue your newfound passion. It doesn't necessarily work that way. And that's how that conversation was, and it intrigued me a lot. And then I'm able to relate to it just when you explained it. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, like you said, I mean, that's also something that I realized, and I think everybody has that. I mean, of course, there are people who can be having a one-track mind and have one career all their life, and they may be happy with that.
Mm,
But I believe, like for example, me, thanks to music, I think I realized that I have so many other passions also. And the more I got into music, I also realized that I don't want to be this mad scientist
mm,
in music and only live with music and treat it like as if it's the only thing to do, like it's some godly kind of thing. I mean, yes, of course, it's a great music is wonderful, but music is not. I mean, especially when you're a musician, you can't treat that life is all about music. No, music is a part of life,
mm,
and it's a beautiful part of life. But then I have so many other passions. I mean, whether it was being an educator, or being with the younger generation, or whether it was just traveling, or those kind of things which you're passionate about, right? I mean, I think everybody has different passions, and I think that is, and different passions come at different points in your life also.
I agree.
you know and obviously, when you do something for very long, you kind of get bored of it also after a point. because it's probably a routine for you for all these years, and you want to break that routine and you want to try something different in your life because you want something new in your life.
Mm.
And that keeps happening at different points in your life, and I think you should go ahead with those points, with those things. You should indulge in those things. I mean, and when I say indulge, it doesn't necessarily mean that you should earn from those things,
Right.
but you should put yourself there
Yeah.
because it gives you other things which makes you happy other than the money,
Correct.
right? I mean, like you said, keep something that pays you the money so that you can do the things that you love also, or that you're passionate about. And that's the way you should be. And I think you should keep adding those things which are your passion. Maybe this is one, like for example, for you, the podcast is one of your passions. Now just keep adding more passions as you grow older, and then you will be more satisfied that you did all those things and not just one thing.
Correct.
And I think that is a more satisfactory and a happy ending to your life, while you're here.
Yeah.
So
Indeed. Indeed.
I think everyone should do that, and I think everyone should try not to be too one track mind,
Yeah.
and try to try different things so that it kind of gives you new perspectives at different points in your life.
And at the same time, though, like as an extension to what we just spoke, people um, who are actually, how should I put it? People who are passionate and are doing what they absolutely love, and it also pays their bills, they are one of the rarest forms, right? Obviously, because everything is in one thing for them. So they don't have to look around for other things, but just focus on just one thing, and it's returning back everything that they want, fame, money, whatever, whatever, right? So
Yeah.
that, but again, that's
But
not
then, like I said, I mean, even those people who get money from things that they do passionately, not all the things that they do are very happy.
right,
You
right,
know, there are some things in their career which are good, but there are a lot of things which are not good also, which
agree,
they have to deal with it because the money is coming from there. So they'll have to. There are some things which they don't want to be part, but they have to deal with it.
agree.
So it's up to you. I mean, it's up to you. If you're okay with dealing with it, then it's okay. But some people don't want to deal with a lot of that. Maybe they want to keep it more happy than less
Yeah,
bad. And that depends from different individuals. So
understand.
we think, okay, this, like for example, an actor, okay, he's getting the all number one films, he's earning lots. We think that he's really happy, but that's not the case. We
Hmm.
don't see the bad things or the sad things or the that he has to face.
Yeah, yeah,
So I think all of us have it equal that way. We have the bad and the good, and
yeah,
it's our choices that about how much bad and how much good that we want to take is going to
understand.
determine everything.
Right. I think the way we could probably summarize this particular discussion is it's all about the choices you make. Would that be fair?
Yeah, yeah.
Great.
Sometimes you make wrong choices, but that's fine. You That's totally fine because it's going to be make you a stronger person after that.
Well said.
Those
Well
wrong
said.
choices. Make your mistakes, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. And Sanjeev, there's just one more thing I definitely wanted to touch on. Last night I was having a look at your Instagram profile, and then I was very shocked with one of your posts. I'm very sorry that
Yeah,
you had a heart attack in
yeah,
December 2021, which is
yeah,
last December, and it was very heartbreaking to read that. And I have no idea how you went through this, and of course having a stint uh,
yeah, yeah.
5 centimeter block. It was not easy for me to even read it. So, and it's completely optional for you to talk about it, but since you had it on a public platform like Instagram and on a post,
Yeah.
and I thought, would you want to touch on that lightly in terms of what happened and then how you bounced back, most importantly, especially after that?
So I think 2 months before the heart attack, I kind of got like a um, radiating pain from like on my left side.
Right.
And then I mean the first thing when that happened, it was not very painful or anything like that, but I could feel something, kind of a pain radiating on that side. And the first thing I did was, have a blood test. And when I did a blood test, there was a little bit of cholesterol, not too much, not too high or anything like that. And generally, I was kind of fit. I mean, I'm not too fat, or I don't like eat like loads of stuff or like bad stuff like that. And so, even though my blood reports kind of showed it was kind of okay, it was not nothing was too high. The first thing I thought was, I'll just start walking and start exercising a little bit more and all that. But then what I should have done ideally is nobody tells you that, but I should have taken an ECG or a echo and checked my heart, when I felt that left side kind of thing, so which I didn't do.
Yeah.
And then this heart attack just happened suddenly, man. I mean, just one early morning I just got up and then I started feeling like completely breathless.
Wow.
And then I had to wake up my wife and I tell her that come, I don't know whether we should go to the hospital, but I kind of feel breathless. And then we rushed to this hospital nearby, and then they checked an ECG and they told me that I was having a massive heart attack. And
Mm.
then I was rushed to a main hospital where they had a cardiac
Mm.
section, and they did an angiogram and saw that this whole 5 centimeter block happened, and that I had to put a stent and all that.
Wow.
Um, of course, the only vice that I had was I was a heavy smoker,
Mm.
and but then I do feel. I mean, my personal doubts is on this is it has something to do with the vaccine also, because a lot of my friends, a lot of people who I or a lot of places that I've read this about is and also which my doctor told me was one of the things that the vaccine or having COVID has to do with you is clotting is was a very common
Mm.
problem that was found with many people.
Mm.
And my block also was a blood clot rather than a calcium clot. It was not a calcium clot or any of that.
Right.
It was a blood clot. So I feel that also has a lot to do with why this happened. But then anyway, I mean, there's no point talking about that. No? I mean, we all needed the vaccine anyway. Uh, but yeah, I mean, in a way, I'm happy that it happened because I kind of changed my lifestyle now. I'm so much more fitter now. I'm not smoking. I'm kind of exercising much more. I'm eating right. So I think and fitness is kind of, I don't want to be a freak fitness guy, but at least
Mm.
I'm happy with the kind of fitness that I'm or the place that I am in right now, and it's good. And I feel so much more energetic, and you know, uh,
Mm.
and of course it was scary in the beginning. I mean, even just before going for the Sid concerts, I mean that's the first thing I asked my doctor also. I'm going to rock out on the stage for 3 hours continuously, is that okay? And my doctor was like, it's totally fine because you're used to this, you've been doing this all your life, so I think it's totally fine. And I still remember in the first show, in the Switzerland show, at the end of 3 hours, I was kind of getting an ache on my left side. And I was telling, and the band guys were coming in, hey Sanjeev, what's up, man? Hey, you okay, right? They were also quite scared for me, Sid and all that. They were like kind of worried, but then it was totally fine. I mean, even the second show, I mean, the second show were a little more chill because I was talking about the audience being far away, right? So we didn't rock out as much as the first show. But then I came back to my doctor, and my doctor said, that was just a muscle pain. Just because some pain comes from the outside, that doesn't have anything to do with the heart.
Right.
So usually, when a problem with the heart comes, when you feel extra tired,
Mm.
and those are the signs where something is wrong with the heart. But this is probably maybe just my guitar strap kind of
Mm.
putting too much of the jumping and kind of giving. But yeah, I mean. I feel perfectly fine. So this is not definitely not going to stop me from doing the things that I do. And
Inspiring.
but all I can say is, I mean, anyone who's having a pain on the left side, go get your ECG checked, you know. And it's great to always, once in a year to just check your heart health, and see how it's doing, because it's kind of post the pandemic. This has been quite a, frequent visitor to a lot of people. I've heard of so many people die out of heart attacks, including being in Bangalore, Puneet Rajkumar and Shane Warne, and so many people who died out of heart attacks. And obviously this vaccine and the COVID virus is something that people are still researching about, and it's fairly new. So, and now only people are actually talking about its effects to the heart and to the bones and things like that. So, but yeah, man, I'm glad to be alive, and I'm going to be alive.
You're meant to be here for us, Sanjeev. You
Yeah.
can't. And I'm sorry I touched on this topic, but I
No, not at all.
and I was very shocked, and I was, yeah. So when I read that post, and I couldn't imagine what you'd have gone through, and yeah, but it's very inspiring the way you bounced back, especially, and then you look happy.
Yeah.
You're in a much better place, and I have a lot of respect for you, Sanjeev, and honestly, I want to take you out for
Thank you.
lunch when I meet you in Bangalore when I come later this year. So I'll
For
definitely
sure. For sure. Yes.
touch with you, and then I'm going to take you out for lunch. And this is one of the most
Yay.
inspirational podcasts in my journey for sure, because yeah, I mean, every aspect that you touched on has been very inspirational, even from the decisions that you took, and then the factors that pushed you to take those decisions, and the things obviously that were out of your control, which you still managed to do really well, and then you're still smiling and doing things that makes you happy. What more can we expect from an amazing musician like yourself? It's very inspiring. So you, and via this podcast, via this conversation, I can put my hand on my heart and say that it's going to be inspiring a lot of musicians, and the aspiring ones especially, and even for the general audience who are going to be watching it. So thank you once again.
Okay,
It's
man.
been
Thank you so
so
much. It
having you
was
in this podcast. Although I did try to keep it under 1 hour, it definitely went over an hour. But I have found it absolutely inspirational. And but lastly, before I let you go, um, I'm sure, I mean, if there was a message or anything that you would like to give to Sir, you can always tell him personally as well. But I would like you to please share a message for him via this podcast, and I will share it to him so that he sees it.
okay. Hi, sir. I mean, it's been a while, but thank you for always inspiring us. Thank you for inspiring me, and thank you for being the wonderful human being that you are, because that has definitely inspired me even more than the music. And I really wish a wonderful and long journey ahead of you, because you still have so many things to do, and I really believe that you are going to climb so many more heights, higher than the heights that you've already reached. Love you always.
Superb. I love it, man. I love it. So, Sanjeev, thank you heaps for your time and your kindness, and your honesty as well, with absolutely everything that you spoke about. Not everyone can do this. So thank you for
Thank you.
being the person you are, and thank you for inspiring all of us. And
Thank you so much, man. I had a great time. I mean, it was a road down memory lane, talking about all those things. And it's. I think it's important for everyone to kind of revisit those times in your life where you had it hard sometimes, you had it good sometimes, and right now when you look back at it, you appreciate both the good and the bad things that happened. So because that has made who you are today, And thank you, man, for taking me down this road. And you've been a wonderful host.